Kirk Cousins, another quarterback. Some people say he is similar. Quirky, doesn't really get along with everyone, but he's a quarterback that some people are saying might not be in the NFC North either anymore. Why? Yeah. Because apparently the Carolina Panthers called the Vikings and asked for a trade. This was completely blown out of proportion, which I made this tweet out. For those of you that didn't read the original story or didn't communicate with the original source, the Panthers called and it went no further than asking how much. The Panthers called saying, basically, how much would it take for Kirk Cousins? Is Kirk Cousins available? The Vikings responded, and the Panthers said, okay, later. So either the Vikings said, we're not interested, and their response was, no, he's not available, or they said a price that was so high, the Panthers were like, can't do that, or they're, okay, we'll think about it. Like, that's the only possibilities. So it's not, they talked about Darnold, they talked about this person.
I don't believe that if the Panthers, if this was an actual report that came out and the Panthers called and the price was too high, you would have heard the price was too high. So that just makes me believe that we gave them, honestly, it was probably a Stafford-like deal.
Only thing I think is interesting is the Panthers aren't going to leak that. So I think that was leaked on the Vikings side. And I would assume
reporter that wanted.
I would assume it's leaked by the Vikings. If it is by the Vikings, it's probably to let Kirk know that they are willing to trade him, to maybe coerce him into restructuring. The other stuff was that apparently there are currently 3 teams interested in trading for Kirk Cousins. The Philadelphia Eagles were interested. The Carolina Panthers are interested. And then there was one other team I tweeted about. I can't remember. I think it was the Colts. Indianapolis Colts. And then today there was something about the Niners, and I was sitting there like, for a guy that everybody seems to hate and there's just terrible quarterback, these are a lot of teams that are trying to win now and do well in their division, that are trying to get Kirk Cousins. All these guys that don't want Kirk, all these people that think Kirk Cousins is bad. How do you explain the Eagles are willing to move on from Jalen Hurts and Kirk Cousins because they think Kirk Cousins would make them better than the Cowboys, better than the football team, and the Giants? The Niners would want Kirk probably to give Trey Lance another year.
Yeah, but to go deeper into the playoffs,
and as an upgrade over Jimmy G, who just 100%. Took them to the Super Bowl a couple years ago and almost again. The Colts, who have believed that they are on the cusp of a Super Bowl for 3 years in a row now, which is why they got Phillip Rivers, then Carson Wentz, because they kept thinking that these guys were going to take them. They think that Kirk Cousins is that guy. And the Colts are not in an easy division, so they think Kirk Cousins is a guy that can take them far. Why do all these really at least above average teams at worst? Niners are better than above average, but if you want to be whatever about
Philly was right there in the playoffs too.
Colts are the only one of those 3 that didn't make the playoffs because but Philly did make the playoffs.
Yeah, Panthers want a quarterback because if they get a competent quarterback, that's their division.
They were a competitive team with Teddy Bridgewater. They weren't competitive with Darnold because Darnold is dog water. He's just not good. I saw some people saying a lot of Vikings fans obviously were all for it. I don't want to dive too deep into it because these initial talks are not going anywhere. It sounds like the Vikings are not interested in moving him, but I saw a lot of Vikings fans all for it. They want Kirk gone. You absolutely do it because you can move on from the contract. The Darnold contract, actually, you don't really net too much.
Yeah.
And you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
All these trades for Kirk you have to be okay going 3-14. You just have 6-11 would be good.
The only team that makes sense there, actually there's 2 teams that make sense. And that would be Philadelphia and San Francisco. They're not going to like to hear this, but you would want a young quarterback.
Right, you'd ask for, and the Eagles have 3 first-round picks?
Yeah, because they got one for the Wentz.
So it'd be all right, at least one of those first-round picks and Hurts.
Yeah, but Niners, we don't want Jimmy G. We wouldn't want Jimmy G. We would ask for Trey Lance. That's how it'd be.
And and they're not doing that. Yeah. Or it'd be give us one of your young defensive guys that you really like. Obviously not Nick Bosa or Fred Warner, but give us some of these other they would be asking for a lot, and that's because Kirk Cousins is not bad. So I think this is all just proof Kirk Cousins is not a bad quarterback, and we've seen it with every team. We saw those 16 guys that made the Super Bowl that were never able to make it back. With whole like Joe, everybody's talking about that with Joe Burrow, how he might never make it back to the Super Bowl. All these other, and like Kirk Cousins was better than almost every one of those 16 guys that made it. It was just proof to me that without that team around you, no quarterback is making it to the Super Bowl.